Hello guys, good morning. Welcome to my YouTube channel. Today in this video we will study about protocol development that is related with the topics covered in this video are history of mobile telecommunication systems, analog communications, digital communication, advantages and disadvantages of analog versus digital communication, advantages of digital communication, disadvantages of digital communication, 1G and its architecture, 2G and its architecture, 3G and its architecture, and storage details. Later we will discuss about 4G requirement, why 4G was required. So now we will come on this. History of mobile telecommunication systems. Mobile telecommunication systems were first introduced in the early 1979. The G stands for generation, like 1G first generation, 2G second generation, 3G third generation, 4G fourth generation, and 5G fifth generation. The G stands for generation. The aim of wireless communication is to provide high quality, reliable communication, just like wired communication, like optical fiber. Each new generation of services represents a big step leap rather in that direction. This journey was actually started in the year 1979 from 1G and is still continuing to 5G. Maybe many of the guys you have already heard that Reliance Jio is about to launch 5G, but no idea by when they will come to the market with 5G. So now we will communicate for we will go further in this. Provide high quality, reliable services related communication, just like wired communication, like optical fiber, means like we are using our system like telephone system. So like this way they have tried to provide the communication system. Now we will come on this analog and digital signals. Analog communication was using by 1G first generation, and this will be like AC current, alternate current, and it will vary like this. And this one, our digital signal will vary 0 1 0 1 0 1 0 1, like this it will vary actually. So this is the difference between analog and digital signal, and further we will study about what is analog communication, what is digital communication. So analog communication is a data transmitting technique in a format that utilizes continuous signals to transmit data, including voice, image, video, electrons, etc. And analog signal is a variable signal, continuous in both time and amplitude, which is generally carried by use of modulation. Digital communication is the physical transfer of data over a point to point or point to multi-point transmission medium. Examples of such media are copper wires, optical fibers, wireless communication media, and storage media. Analog communication is communication method of conveying voice, data, image, signal, or video information using a continuous signal, which varies in amplitude, phase, or some other property in proportion to that of a variable. It could be the transfer of analog source signal using an analog modulation method such as FM or AM, or no modulation at all. Means FM, like 93.5 FM, if you will hear, it is they are using analog communication. Going further, analog transmission is still very popular, in particular of shorter distances, due to significantly lower costs, and complex multiplexing and timing equipment is unnecessary, and in a small short haul system that simply do not need multiplex digital transmission. However, in situations where a signal often has high signal to noise ratio and cannot achieve source linearity, or in long distance high output systems, analog is unattractive due to attenuation problems. Attenuation problems means there will be loss of disturbance in that particular. Furthermore, as digital techniques continue to be refined, analog systems are increasing, becoming legacy equipment. Recently, some nations, such as Netherlands, have completely ceased analog transmission on certain media, such as television, for the purpose of the government saving money. Analog systems are very tolerant to noise, make good use of bandwidth, and are easy to manipulate. They can use the bandwidth, there is no problem, but ultimately the concern is this, that because of huge noise and all, if huge noise will be there in the calls, then what is the use of bandwidth and all? However, analog signals require hardware receivers and transmitters that are designed to perfectly fit the particular transmission. If you are working on a new system and you decide to change your analog signal, you need to completely change your transmitters and receivers. Analog signals are signal with continuous values. Analog signals are used in many systems. Although the use of analog signals has declined with the advent of cheap digital signals. This is our digital communication now. Digital communication is the physical transfer of data in digital bit stream over a point to point or point to multi-point. Point to point means one link is established between two radios, that is point to point. But when another link is established from one point to many devices, means like if people are aware by access point and all, so on that time it can be used by one access point can be used by few devices, like 3-4 devices they can utilize, there is no problem. So that is point to multi-point. So we will communicate further on this. The data is often represented as an electromagnetic signal, such as an electrical voltage signal or an infrared signal. Data transmitted may be digital messages from a data source, for example, computer or a keyboard. It may also be analog signals such as phone call or a video signal digitized into a big bit stream, for example, using pulse code modulation or more advanced source coding data compression schemes. The source coding and decoding is carried out by codec equipment. Digital communication enables the data to be transmitted in an efficient manner through the use of digitally encoded information sent through data signals. These data signals are easily compressed and as such can be transmitted with accuracy and speed. Unlike in an analog communication where the continuity of a varying signal cannot be broken, in a digital communication, a digital transmission can be broken down into packets as discrete masses. Transmitting data in discrete masses not only facilitates the error detection and correction but also enables a great signal processing capability. Digital communication has in large part replaced analog communication as the ideal form of transmitting information through computer and mobile technologies. I'm not going in too much deep and all because we have to cover many topics, so that's why. Moving further, what are the advantages and disadvantages of analog versus digital communication? When signal is traveling through its transmission path, gets faded gradually. Fading means at one point signals will be faded, means there will be loss of signals, there will be problems, like suppose I will tell you one example. If huge rain is going on and one link is established between two towers from one source from one tower to another tower using microwave, that is round type antenna. So on that time, because of huge rain, sometime it can be possible that they will not able to reach with each other because of huge rain. So that is known as fading. So here the faded gradually. So on its path, it needs to be reconstructed to its actual form and retransmit many times. So this is the advantage and disadvantage. So this is the disadvantage of particular our this an analog signal. For that reason, amplifiers are used for analog communication and repeaters are used in digital communications. What is repeater? Repeater means it will just repeat the frequency. Means suppose if you are having any network issues, so on that time network operator what they will do, that they will install one repeater at your terrace, and that repeater will communicate with nearby tower, and that particular tower will be served at your home location. So that is the work of repeater actually. So amplifiers are needed every 2 to 3 kilometers apart, whereas repeaters are needed every 5 to 6 kilometers. So definitely digital communication is cheaper. Amplifier also often add non-linearities that distort the actual signal. Bandwidth is another scarce scarce resource, whereas digital communication techniques are available that use the available bandwidth much efficiently than analog communication technique. Means bandwidth issue is also there. When audio and video signals are transmitted digitally and add analog to digital, converter is needed. Here converter is needed, and there also one second converter needed. Is needed at transmitting side, and a digital to analog converter is again needed at receiver side. While transmitting in analog communication, these devices are not needed. Means in analog communication, suppose we required both analog and digital, so on that time converter will be required, as it is written here. So digital signals are often an approximation of the analog, like analog data like voice or video, that is obtained through a process called quantization. The digital representation is never the exact signal, but its most closely approximated digital form. So its accuracy depends on the degree of approximation taken in quantization process. Now, what are the profits of digital communication? Because of analog communication, after 1G there is no use of analog communication nowadays. Nowadays everywhere 2G, 3G, 4G, 5G, either whatsoever network is there, digital communication is there only. That's it. And analog communication is not there. It is fast and easier. No paper is wasted. The message can be stored in the device for longer times without being damaged, unlike paper files that easily get damaged or attacked by insects. Digital communication can be done over large distance through internet and other things. It is completely cheaper, and the work which requires a lot of people can be done simply by one person, as folders and other such facilities can be maintained. So by these points you will able to understand easily. It removes semantic barriers because the written data can be easily changed to different language using software. It provides facilities like video conferencing, which save a lot of time, money, and effort. What are the disadvantages? It is unreliable, as the message can be recognized by signatures through software can be developed for this, yet the software can be easily hacked. So this is the disadvantage. Sometimes the quickness of digital communication is harmful, as messages can be sent with the click of a mouse. Means if you just suppose if you have dropped one message and you just don't want to send, just one click and message sent. So this is also the problem. The person does not think and sends the message at an impulsive. Digital communication has completely ignored the human touch. A personal touch cannot be established because all the computers will have the same font. The establishment of digital communication causes degradation of the environment. In some cases, electronic waste is an example. The waves given out by the telephone and cell phone towers are so strong that they can kill small birds. I will tell you the example. In fact, the common sparrow has vanished due to so many towers coming up as the vibration hit them on the dead. The concern is this. Nowadays, if you will suppose if you are living in Bangalore, Kolkata, Mumbai, Delhi, Chennai, Jaipur, Noida. So in these places, one small bird will be there that is known as Goraya. You will not able to find easily because of these concerns. These here radiation and all, we will not able to find them easily. But whenever if you will go at village level, either small towns, on that time you will able to find easily. There is no problem at all. So this is an example of this particular thing. Later, we are discussing now 1G. The first generation 1G system used analog communication techniques. As I told you that the 1G analog communication techniques used, which were similar to those used by traditional analog radio. The individual cells were large and the system did not use the available radio spectrum efficiently. So their capacity was by today's standard very small. Means 1G was, I can say that there is no comparison at all on since if we will talk about today's technology and 1G. So the mobile devices was large and were marketed almost exclusively at business users. Means only business people was having because of cost and all. So that's why business people was using only. The very first generation of commercial cellular network was introduced in 1987 by Telecom, known as Telestra nowadays. Australia received its first cellular mobile phone network utilizing a 1G analog system. The maximum speed of 1G is 2.4 kbps. However, for a good voice quality, minimum speed of 10 kbps is mandatory. So you can understand easily that what was the quality of voice in 1G. Till 2018, a limited NMT service in Russia remains the only 1G cellular network still in operations. Means till 2018, Russia was using 1G only at few places. Nowadays, no idea. This is the architecture how call will go through. These are the BTS, and from here one people is if going from here to here, then handover will be there, and all these things will be connected to mobile telephone switching office, that is MTSO. Okay, so MTSO, it will be, BTS will be connected to MTSO through microwave, means round type antenna, either fiber. This is wireline, means fiber, either that can be connected with fiber, either that can be connected with microwaves. Microwave means round type antenna. There are multiple microwave antennas will be available on the market, depends on the requirement and depends on the distance actually. 0.3 meter, that is diameter, 0.3 diameter, 0.6, 0.9, 1.2, 1.8, and then 2.4. Nowadays 1.8 is using at village areas, and 2.4 is also using at village areas only. So it will be connected MTSO, and from MTSO once again telephone landline, and it will come to local exchange. Then our this one our system our landline will be there. So this is the architecture of 1G. Now we will talk about 2G. The main difference between the two mobile telephone system 1G and 2G is that the radio signals used by 1G network is analog. Means 1G was using by analog systems and 2G networks are digital. Main motive of this generation was to provide secure and reliable communication channel. It implemented the concept of CDMA and GSM. CDMA means code division multiple access, and GSM means global system for mobile communication, which provides small data service like SMS and MMS. 2G cellular telecom networks were commercially launched on the GSM. Initially, it was launched on GSM only, a standard in Finland by Radio Linja, an organization now part of Elisa OH in 1991. 2G capability are achieved by allowing multiple users on a single channel via multiplexing. During 2G, cellular phones are used for data also along with voice. Initially, it was launched just for only and only voice calls. Later, after that, SMS, MMS, and then conference call waiting, many other services are added after enhancing 2G. Initially, it was originally designed just for voice, but were later enhanced to support instant messaging through the short message service. The most popular 2G system was the global system for mobile communication, which was designed as a pan-European technology, but which later became popular throughout the world. The property name of IS-95 is CDMA. IS-95 you can search in 3GPP research papers and all. You can check on internet, there is no problem for detailed understanding. It is a 2G mobile telecommunications standard that uses CDMA. In next slide, three primary benefits of 2G networks over their predecessors. Predecessors means 1G, like Purvaj, I can say Purvaj. So digitally encrypted phone conversion, at least between the mobile phone and the cellular base station. Digitally encrypted means from BTS to our mobile, it was digitally encrypted and secure, but not necessary in the rest of the network. Means other than this, network was not too much secure. Significantly more efficient use of the radio frequency spectrum, enabling more users per frequency band. Means on a single frequency band, many people can be connect once at a time. There is no problem. Data service for mobile standard, starting with SMS text messages. Initially, 2G provided a speed of 13.8 kbps, which was without internet. The maximum speed of 2G with GPRS, General Packet Radio Services, is 40 kbps. Means after enhancing with GPRS, with edge enhanced data rate for GSM, evaluation, there is a theoretical maximum transfer speed of 384 kbps. Actually, it was not achieved practically. The success of 2G communication system came at the same time as the early growth of the internet. Means once internet was able to use in 2G, then it was really very good for us. It was natural for network operators to bring the two concepts together to allowing users to download the data onto mobile devices. To do this, so-called 2.5G systems built on the original ideas from 2G by introducing the core network's packet switch domain and by modifying the air interface, as that it could handle data as well as voice. Means initially it was launched for only and only for calls, but later after enhancing, it was able to use call waiting, conference call, SMS and MMS and all. The GPRS incorporated these techniques into GSM, while IS-95 was developed into a system known as IS-95B. Means IS-95B was the updated version of this one. At the same time, the data rates available over the internet were progressively increasing because of once it was launched with internet, so that's why it was increasing. To mirror this, designers first improved the performance of 2G system using techniques such as enhanced data rated for GSM evolution. Means starting GSM, then GSM Edge, and then introduced more powerful third generation in the year 2010. 2000. But that is different thing that actually in India 2010 approximately 3G was launched as per my understanding. 2010 either 11. This is the 2G architecture, that is SIM, and that is mobile equipment. Means SIM with mobile, that is known as mobile station. Completely it is known as mobile station, but without SIM it is known as mobile equipment only. In my last video, first video, I had already shown that how the call process will go and how it will communicate with another operator, either with any another person. Later, this is the simple 2G architecture. Mobile without SIM, mobile equipment, as I told you. GRAN, this is the updated version of 2G GSM. GRAN, general GPRS as a radio access network. That is mobile station, that is BTS and BSC, and combination of BTS and BSC is known as GERAN. And this is our core network, that is the part MSC and radio access network. Only mobile known as mobile equipment, however with SIM it's known as mobile station in the terms of 2G or 2.5G. In core network of 2G, this is completely designed for CS, circuit switching services. There will be multiple RAN and each RAN will be having the capability to handle different RAN. All the multiple RAN will communicate to core network. Now here we use the term circuit switching, but in 3G, but in 3G we have used circuit switching and packet switching both. Packet for data and circuit switching for voice. And in 4G we completely depends on packet switching only. Circuit switching is not there in that. Now we came in 3G. 3G operator has to maintain two core networks, as I told you. The circuit switch domain for voice and the packet switch domain for data. This generation set the standard for most of the wireless technology we have came to know. Web browsing, email, video downloading, picture sharing and other smartphone technology were introduced in the year 2000 and launched commercially in the year 2001. 3G is the Universal Mobile Telecommunication System, UMTS. We know 3G UMTS also. UMTS was developed from GSM by completely changing the technology used on the air interface while keeping the core network almost unchanged. The system was later enhanced for data applications by introducing the 3.5G technologies of high-speed downlink packet access (HSDPA) and high-speed uplink packet access. Means I will tell you. This is our 2G. Then from here to here, if you will put one arrow from here to here, this is our uplink. And from here to there, if you will put one another arrow, then it is known as our downlink. So this is the concern. The UMTS were introduced has two slightly different implementations: wideband code division multiple access. Because of, as I told you earlier, in 2G enhanced was it was enhanced later. So this is the reason. And later 3G was also enhanced actually. It is a version that was originally specified and the one that is currently used through most of the world. Time division synchronous code division multiple access TD-SCDMA is derivative of WCDMA. Yes, definitely. This is time division duplexing. It is used TDD. It is known as TDD also. And other than this, another is known as FDD, means frequency division duplexing, which is also known as the low chip rate option of UMTS. TDD mode TD-SCDMA was developed in China to minimize the country's dependency on Western technologies and on royalty payments to Western companies. It is deployed by one of China's 3G operator, China Mobile. You know, China Mobile is the world's #1 operator. There are much and more users in China Mobile. This is actually work in China only, and other than this, there is no country which is running with China Mobile, as per my understanding. But China Mobile is having huge subscribers comparison than with any another operator. In second number, Vodafone is there, and these two are there, which are having a huge huge users. See, if we will talk about protocol level, then 3G is having RLC layer, MAC layer, physical layer, NAS layer. We will study about this in detail in upcoming videos. Now this radio protocol is completely changed compared to 2G and 3G, but core network protocol of 2G and 3G is not that much changed. 3G core network, if protocol is the same, then architecture will also be the same. So 3G core network is using the same architecture as our GSM. Hence, whenever any new evolution will be there, different mobile will be required with capable chipset. Definitely, our suppose we are having 4G handset, but definitely it will not support for 5G. That is sure. And if we are having 4G smartphone, definitely it will support for 2G and 3G because they will develop the mobile like this way only. Existing chipset will never support for any new revolution. In 3G, core network protocol has no any changes. Radio protocol has changes. This is the 3G architecture. From mobile to here, BTS is known as Node B. UU interface will be there, and one node B can communicate with another node B. Means one BTS can be communicate with another BTS. BTS is known in 2G, and in 3G we will call it as a node B, and in 4G it will known as E node B. See, these are the our interfaces are there, which are in use for different things. See, this is CS domain, means circuit switching domain. This is PS domain, as I told in my last in just previous chapter that in 3G both will be available, circuit switching and packet switching. So both are available, and packet switching will be used for data, and circuit switch domain will be used for voice quality, only and only voice. Here, the node Bs are connected to the RNC by IUB interfaces. You can see here, the node B is connected with IUB interfaces, these two. As can be noticed, the core network is evolved further and introduced changes. 1 minute. Here, the node Bs are connected to the RNC by IUB interfaces. Unlike the ABIS interface, the IUB interface is well defined. This ensures interoperability in a multi-vendor environment where node Bs and RNCs are supplied by different vendors. Means, suppose our MSc, either our BSc is given by Huawei, suppose, and BTS belongs with our this one Nokia. So how it will communicate with each other? So because of that particular point, they made the architecture like this, that another vendor's equipment can be communicate with each other. There should be no problem. Another point to note here is that unlike GSM BSCs, Node Bs are connected to each other by IUR interfaces. Node Bs are connected to each other by IUR interfaces. This is the point to be noted, because of one BTS will not communicate with another BTS in 2G, but in 3G, one node B will communicate with another node B. As a UE, now mobile equipment is known as UE, user equipment, may attach to the several RNCs. Means if you are running, that if you are going somewhere from if you are taking any journey, on the time one RNC to another RNC will be handover will be there. See, IUCS is equivalent to the A interface in GSM, means A interface, ATR interface. ATR interface, where it was there, I will show you. This is ATR interface. So IUPS is equivalent to the GB interfaces in GPRS. GB interfaces will be work for BSc to MSc. All the new interfaces, that is IUB, IUR, IUCS and IUPS, are based on ATM. The user equipment or mobile station comprise mobile equipment and a UMT subscriber identity module. Means now SIM will subscriber identification module will known as USIM, means user subscriber identity module. These are the various things given here. These are the bearers. I will discuss on bearers further on another videos, because of that is a very big topic. That is PLMN. PLMN means our mobile only. Now going further, the salient point for this architecture is that is all IP based. Yes, definitely. In 3G, it is all about IP only. The voice is over IP, and hence there is no need of circuit switching with PLMN. At the gateway, appropriate conversion is required to interconnect to legacy systems. The SGSN and the GGSN are enhanced to support circuit switched services such as voice, the new roaming signals gateway RSGW, and transport signals gateway TSGW are needed to provide interworking with the external system with legacy SS7 and SS7 over IP. The call state control function CSCF, call state control function, provides call control function for multimedia sessions. The media gateway control function MGCF controls media gateways, which are IP multimedia system, that is IMS. IP multimedia systems, that is IMS. We will discuss regarding IMS in further videos. The media resource function MRF supports features such as multi-party conferencing and meet me, means conference call and all. It was the media resource function was using. Here we will discuss about storage details, which is known or what. See, this is bit. One bit is having only 4 bits. That bit is a very small quantity related to storage, and then it will come to nibble. Next point is nibble. One nibble is having 4 bits, and one byte, either one octet, is having only 8 bits. Then 1 KB is having 1024 bytes. Then megabyte MB, 1 MB is equal to 1024 KB, and 1 GB is equal to 1024 MB. Then TB, then PB, then EB, then ZB, then and finally it will come as zettabyte. This is the highest unit. Sorry, zettabyte, then yottabyte. Then yottabyte is the highest unit of the storage systems. So now Octet. In some system, the term octet is used for an 8-bit unit instead of byte. In many systems, 8-bit bytes or octet form a 32-bit word. But in this particular table, you can understand easily, there is no problem at all. This is the very big quantity, yottabyte. We have taken this petabyte term in 4G. Why 4G required? In the next slide, you will understand. Now we are upcoming that why 4G was required actually. For many years, voice call dominated the traffic in mobile telecommunication networks. The growth of mobile data was initially slow, but in the years up to 2010, its use started to increase dramatically. Till June 2013, worldwide mobile telecommunication network utilization was approximately 1500 petabyte. Petabyte means, you can understand this point. This is the petabyte. 1 TB, 1 GB, 1 MB. You can understand that how much data usage was increased by the year 2013. This data captured by Ericsson India, Ericsson Global. I can say Ericsson Global. In this latter voice call was minimal comparison than data. Yes, call was, there was no increment of calls and all, but data was used like anything because of many things was introduced. In 2007, Apple launched their phone, Apple iPhone, and then in 2008, Google also launched their phone with their this one Android system since in the year 2008. So these smartphones were more attractive and user friendly than their predecessor and were designed to support the creation of application by third-party developers. Previously, Symbian operating system was using by Nokia, and later Android. Since when Android came in the market, definitely you can able to put any kind of the our application and all, you can install easily and you can use them, so there is no problem. So because of that only, data users was increasing day by day, day by day, and day by day. But 2G and 3G 2G and 3G was not too much capable on that. So this was the reason why our data, why 4G was required actually. See, this is the voice and data comparison. Here you can see these yellow colors. This is the data. This data captured from the year 2007. See, calls was almost approximately little bit difference is there in many years, but data uses of data 2007 was too much minimum, too much minimum. See, but in the year 2013 and I can say year 2009 quarter 4, this is the, I can say that this is the 3 months data captured by Ericsson. Okay, so here you can see in the year 2009 quarter 4, almost both was approximately same, but after that data usage was increased like anything. See, and nowadays this is the data till 2013 only. Nowadays you can understand this thing, that how much data requirement was there. So these are the concerns. So that's why 4G was required actually. And other than this, third party application was also introduced, so that's why people can easily use, there is no problem at all. So finally, these are the external links. If you guys are having any kind of the doubt, please mail me on this particular mail ID. Thank you.